Let's talk about gravity. In my opinion, this is one of the most simple ways to modify your program to either make it easier if you need to, or to make it harder if you need to. And it's just under-recognized. My friend Amanda with the Intimate Rose, she actually coined this term. This was the first time I had heard the term, which was gravity dosing. So I've been dosing gravity or gravity dosing for years, but I've never thought to call it that. And I think it's a pretty good term, because that really does, I guess, represent what we're doing. So I'm going to go through some different positions here, but I just kind of want to give you the concept here. Actually, let's start with the actual pelvic floor. So we have the pelvic bowl here. This is anti-gravity, right? We have gravity pushing down and the pelvic floor muscles are lifting up. Another way to kind of illustrate this would be, here is the pelvic floor and we have gravity pushing down, the organs are pushing down, and the pelvic floor is lifting up. And we have this pelvic floor trampoline from below. Now, here's my friend, my Barbie. So we can use gravity to make it harder. I mean, we can do it either, but we're going to start easier. So we can use gravity to make it easier. So if you imagine that pelvic bowl, when you have the hips above the heart, then the pelvic floor muscles are on slack and gravity is helping. And so it's easier to get a contraction in that position. Is this a functional position? No. You know, you can't get anything done in this position, but it's a good way to start off with strengthening, especially if you have really weak muscles and it's difficult to activate. So dosing gravity, you can do this, or you could also kind of be on your hands and knees with your bottom up in the air. Okay, so just making sure that your heart is below your pelvis. And here I'm going to share my screen where I go through some images there. So I have pelvis above the heart and I have it elevated on a wedge there, a pillow. It's like a body pillow. Now we have gravity neutral. So you can be lying down flat on your back. You can have your legs straight or bent, lying down flat on your stomach, lying flat on your side, or even in our position quadruped, where the pelvis and the heart are about equal. So I would encourage you, you would be surprised, even if you're good at it lying on your back, go ahead and flip over onto your stomach, or go ahead and go onto your side, or go on your hands and knees. It is challenging to activate the muscles in those different positions. And they're all of these positions are valuable positions in our lives. Again, those aren't necessarily functional. You're not going to be doing regular everyday activities in those positions, but building up the strength, building up the endurance, getting that success under your belt in those positions can be very empowering and helpful to your pelvic floor, and then you can translate that to other positions. Now let's move on to anti-gravity. So basically, anti-gravity is where we have gravity pressing down, and seated anti-gravity is where I would start as you're progressing, because you have gravity pressing down, but you have something under your bottom pushing up, whether it be sitting on a floor, sitting on a stool, sitting on a chair. You have that support from below to that pelvic floor, and it's not quite as hard to activate as it is in standing. So you can stand with your feet staggered, you can stand with your feet together, you can stand with your feet about shoulder width apart. I will say this, let me kind of give this to you. We haven't talked about this in our program, but there's something called the levator hiatus, and that's basically where the baby exits. Okay, people with prolapse have a bigger levator hiatus, and when you stand with your legs like this, that levator hiatus opens, And it's harder to activate the pelvic floor muscles with your legs apart than it is together. So if you're progressing to standing, I would progress here and then shoulder and then here and then here. And then ultimately we progress into a squatting position, and then we progress to doing the exercises with activities and with exercises. Like, think about how many exercises and things that you have done this month that incorporate the pelvic floor. So here is just that example there. And then you can do a lunge, you can do a squat, so many different things. And so that's the basic concept of gravity dosing. And I encourage you to use it. Use it to make things easier at the beginning if you need to, and then you understand that progression to make it harder and more challenging, and to get to level 4 or phase 4 of our pelvic floor muscle training program, where we're integrating the pelvic floor muscles into everyday activity. That is super important, because if you just have great pelvic floor muscle strength lying on the table, that doesn't do anything for you in regular daily life. You need them to be coordinated. You need them to be healthy and to do the right thing at the right time.